Hi guys, welcome to another video. So in this video, as you can I'm sure tell by the title, I just kind of want to go over how I did with my reading in 2021. So all the books that were my favorite, I'll just try and insert an image of it because I've already got them put away on a different bookshelf and I'm kind of reorganizing some things, so I don't know exactly where they are, so I'll just do an image. So let's just kind of go over some stats and then I'll tell you what my favorite books were for each month. So, okay. In 2021, I read, so my goal was 100, which I am keeping the same for 2022, is just 100 books. But for 2021, I read 155 books. So that came out to, if I added things right, about 40,150 pages and a total of 678 hours and 12 minutes of audiobooks. Now, like the audiobooks, the hours, a lot of those I listened along with reading the physical book or reading an ebook. So they just go together. So, okay. Out of the 155 books, 48 were physical books only. So no audiobook or anything like that, just the physical book. 16 was ebook only. 25 was audiobook only, and 69 was for a combination, so a duo, a combination of the two. So it would have been an audiobook along with an ebook or an audiobook along with the physical book. So, okay, moving on to the age category. 98 of those books were adult, 37 were young adult, 22 were middle grade, and 2 would have been considered younger than middle grade. So basically a children's book, not, so younger than middle grade. As far as my star ratings, 36 books were 5 stars, 47 were 4 stars, 48 were 3 stars, 12 books were 2 stars, I had 1 star, and 14 DNFs. The DNFs, I take that back, were either complete DNFs or I just gave it a 0 star rating, even if I completed the book. So for 2022, I'm going to do that just a little bit differently, I believe. I think I do have that. I'm looking at my journal here. No, I still have it as a complete DNF. So yeah, so it's either a 0 star, like if I read, I don't know, whatever I read, and I was like, I liked it, but I don't really have a rating for it, so I just gave it a 0 star. Anyway, so there's that one. Okay, out of all of those books that I read, 13 were contemporary, 8 were historical fictions, 3 were classified as humor, and these categories for the genres are the main genre that's listed on like Goodreads, so there's that. Okay, so continuing on, 8 books were mystery, 12 were romance, 14 were thriller, 16 were non-fiction, 3 were miscellaneous, which means it didn't really list a genre, so it's just kind of whatever it was. 1 was a chick lit, 11 were classics, 3 were cozy mysteries, 34 were fantasy, 16 were horror, 1 was paranormal, 11 sci-fi, and 2 urban fiction books. So those are just the nitty-gritty stats. Now, before I tell you what my best books of the year were, I want to tell you kind of what I'll be tracking for 2022. So I've drawn out how I'll track the books that I've read for the year, which I like this layout much better than the one that I did, which was I just drew in the books as I went. But I do like this other one much, much better. So there's that one. Anyway, okay, so what I will be tracking. So this is what my tracking sheet looks like. I only have it done for January. I need to do the rest of the months. I forgot I didn't finish. So again, I'll be tracking format. So physical, ebook, audio, or a duo. So a combination of audiobook with either physical or audiobook with ebook. Age will stay as adult, YA, middle grade, and child. I am going to start tracking the source. So if it's a book that I actually already own, if it's a book I got from the library, or borrowed. Now when I say borrowed, it's not borrowed. So borrowed could be the library, but I want to count library by itself. But borrowed would be like I borrowed it from a friend, or I borrowed it from like my mom or another family member. So it's their book and I just borrowed it from them. So that's what I consider going to be borrowed. Then I also want to track the language, and it's only going to be in 2 categories. That I'm reading it in the original language, like the author wrote it in English, so it's not translated, or if it is a translated work, like if the author is from Sweden and it was originally written in Swedish and then it was translated to English, you know, obviously that's a translated work, so it would count as that. So I'm just curious on that. Obviously keeping the stars at 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 star, and then a D and F. So yeah. So I am going to continue to track genre. So I've got I have pretty much every main genre. So nonfiction, miscellaneous, which is something that's just not listed with what I have. Chick lit, classic, contemporary, dystopian, cozy mystery, fantasy, historical fiction, horror, humor, literary fiction, mystery, paranormal, romance, sci-fi, thriller, urban, and western. So if it doesn't fit in any of those categories, it just goes to miscellaneous. I want to continue to track the total pages I've read for the month, the hours listened to an audiobook, and how many books total. And then I have a square here at the bottom where I'll list my favorite books or favorite book of the month if there is one. The other thing, which I have at this very bottom here, and there does have one tally, so I'm just going to tally it, is purchased, and so, or aka incoming books. So I'll just do a little tally, and so I want to make sure I'm reading more books than I have coming in so that I can get ahead on things. So just to kind of help keep me keep me in track or in line. That's what I'm looking for that. So yeah, so that's what I'm planning on tracking. Okay. And then I'll put, once I can do a spread like this for every month, I'll do another page where it's just the best books of 2022, which is what I did for 2021, which this has been interesting to look back on. So again, I'll insert an image of the book. So in January, the best book, in my opinion, was Wednesday Walks and Wags, and this is by Melissa Storm, and this is the second book in the Sunday Potluck Club series. So far, both of those books have followed. It's a 4-friend group, and each book has followed the perspective of a different friend. And like book 2 takes place after the events of book 1, which I assume is going to be the same for book 3, which is now out and I own, and I am excited to get to that. Moving on to February, my favorite book of the month was The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. I just recently purchased his new book. Drawing a blank, and I can't remember where exactly on my shelf I put it. Anyway, yeah, so it's the most recent one that has kind of a similar cover as far as like color scheme goes. Anyway, so House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune was my favorite for February. In March, my favorite was Dracula by Bram Stoker. So a classic, love the vampires. Yeah, so I thought that was really good, and I absolutely loved it. Okay. In April, I read Queens of Geek by Jen Wild. Now this one, I read it as an ebook, and I loved it so much because it's the first time I actually fully identified with one of the main characters, because one of the main characters is on the autism spectrum. And a lot of the things that that character struggles with, I also struggle with. And so it was really interesting to actually see a version of myself in a book. And so I purchased a physical copy of the book because I loved it so much. So I have an ebook and a physical copy now. Okay, moving on to May. My favorite book was, I think this one is a YA romance, but it is a faux love, is it faux or pho? A pho love story or a faux love story? But it's by Lon Lee. I thought that was just really, really cute. Okay. In June, my favorite book was Sing Me Forgotten by Jessica S. Olsen. I loved that one. I just flew through that book. Okay. July was The Maidens by Alex Michaelides. Or Michaelides, I'm sorry. I did hear the author say that. It's Michaelides. So The Maidens. I really enjoyed The Silent Patient, which I read last year in 2020, and I'm really happy I picked up The Maidens. Absolutely loved it. Okay, moving on to August. My favorite was A Tree Grows in Brooklyn, and that is by Betty Smith. Now this one is a historical fiction, and I originally read this my senior year of high school, I believe, so back in 2002, and I always was like, oh yeah, I liked the book, but I couldn't tell you if I said I liked it because I thought I had to like it, or if it was, like, that I actually did really like it. So I can confirm I actually did really like it, or I actually do really like it now, in case my taste has changed, because that was a while ago. So coming up on 20 years, holy crap. Okay, moving on, let's go on to my favorite for September is actually a novella, and that is Countdown by Mira Grant, and this is book number 0.5 in the Newsflesh series. So I am hoping to get to the third book in the series this month so I can finish or continue on with reading the next novellas. But I really enjoyed that. It was interesting to see how this zombie disease started. It was really cool. Okay, in October, my favorite book was The Summer Children by Dot Hutchison. And that is in the collector series, and it's number 3 in the collector series. Now, big warning on that. There is a lot of child abuse, and it's very dark topics. You're following the FBI as they investigate crimes against children. So it is hard-hitting, so definitely avoid that if that is something that is very hard for you to read. But The Summer Children, I actually really enjoyed it. Okay, moving on to November. My favorite book was The Good Sister by Sally Hepworth. One of the main characters in, the main character in The Good Sister is autistic, and that was really cool as well. Anyway, so The Good Sister by Sally Hepworth, absolutely loved it. And then in December, I only completed 3 books. But out of the 3 that I completed, my favorite was Miracle on 34th Street by Valentine Davies. I did not know that it was a book until my mom brought home the little book. Yeah, it was really good. Yeah, so I have seen, there's an older black and white version. I have seen that one, and I saw like the newer one. I think there's only 2 versions that are out, but anyway, so between the 2 that I've seen, the newer one is the one I like, and I can't give you more information on that because I don't recall the authors or the actors and actresses that were in the movie. But I absolutely loved the movie. I did not watch it this year. Wish I would have. I mean, I still can, just because it's Christmas doesn't mean I have to watch it only at Christmas. But so anyway, so Miracle on 34th Street by Valentine Davies was my favorite for December. So do you have a book that was your favorite for whichever month, if you remember? I think, let me look at it. What would be my favorite for the year? I don't know. That's hard. I think because they're also different. There's some classics in there. Dracula would be my favorite out of the classics. Between all the thrillers, it would be The Summer Children. Chiclets. There's only one Chiclet, so Wednesday Walks and Wags. So yeah, I mean, they were all really good, and it's hard to pick an absolute favorite because they're completely different. So that's it. Are you guys planning on tracking certain things that you read? Like if you're wanting to track, I don't know, whatever it is, something similar as far as if it's borrowed or owned, incoming versus outgoing, genres, anything like that? Are there things that you want to track, or anything like that? So I don't know. I just thought that was fun, and so I look forward to seeing what my reading will be like for 2022. So that's going to be it for this video. So until next time, stay true to yourself and enjoy a good book, and I'll talk to you later.